Hey guys, welcome back to the DN Gaming channel. Today, this video is going to be like an hour long. I'm sure that not many people are going to watch the full duration, but anyway, for the beginning, this is actually the important one for those ones who actually won the raffle. This is actually how the raffle is won. Obviously, the video is going to be taking quite a while because the whole duration is 4 hours, which could take a long time before it actually puts out. But the players will get their battleforge point, and then read the description below for the challenge battleforge reward. Just to put it up there, the challenge will be 1,000 battleforge. Otherwise, which it should be like between today and tomorrow. Otherwise, if I can't get it by tomorrow, it's gonna be 800 battleforge point. Again, I have to do my daily for this. So for an example, the raffle, actually this is how it originally intended. If there are already 2 players over here who went, there was another couple players, but they were late, and they're at the same time. I give a full duration date, by the way, a full 1-day duration, and now you also get full invitation to respond to me back. You actually have to give it your in-game name. So the players right here went ahead and gave me the battleforge. I want to join the 1,000 raffle. Thanks for the video. Love you, love you. My name is in-game Bazooka. So Bazooka is actually going to be entered a battle for the winning. It's going to be named Ariel Opak. For this one, and the guy from Discord, Dragon Desire, say Battleforge reward 1,000. Saw the video. Basically, that's where I put the secret code in there. And thanks for the deck. It looks amazing, and it has a hand. Amazing in the hand of a pro. Not a pro, but you know, thank you for the comments. So these 2 players are actually going to be here in a D20 roll, which is a Dungeons and Dragon dice. Basically, I put their name coming down between 1 to 20. If there are actually more players, then it's going to be the 3rd player is going to take the spot in there, and then it keeps going all the way down until it reaches 20. When I do the roll, when I come to online and do the roll, it'll land on one of those, and they'll be winning the 1,000 battleforge. However, I'm going to be actually adding one more thing, and that's the reason why the other one is either between 800 to 1,000, because I'm going to be adding the 2nd place. It's going to be earning 500 battleforge point. So because there are only 2 players in here, both of them are going to have a chance to win something. So we actually entered right here, and I go right ahead. Let's make it a little bit bigger so you guys can actually see the whole thing in here. Okay, so I'm actually going to roll a D20. I'm going to have to click this D20 right here, and when it actually rolls down, it'll give you a number. For example, I'm going to go right ahead and click on this one, and the number is 7. We jump into the point of here, and we see that number 7 is Ariel. So Ariel is going to be winning the 1,000 battleforge point, and Dragon will be winning the 500 battleforge point. So there we go. The number was 7. Again, in the future, I will be making more of these. If we have more players, there's going to be more roll. For example, if I did roll it again, it would have been 9, which shows us that number 9 would still be it still would have been Ariel. If we roll it again, the number is 12, and the 12 is actually Dragon. But again, that's how it's going to be made for the raffle. However, read the description below. The challenge is at the description below. Do the challenge, record it for me, send it to me by either having a YouTube account. Again, Ariel has his own account, so he's going to be, I'm sure that as soon as he sees the description below, he's going to try to do this. Dragon, if you're still playing with the same deck and stuff like that, you can actually get onto it. Soul Tree is actually going to be, it's going to be on the description below, but just in case people don't read the description below, it's actually Soul Tree Esper mode. Read the description below anyway. So that's going to be in the end of that. I'm going to get into the game so I can send the battleforge point to these type of players. Hey guys, how you doing? This is the part where I actually show the player getting his rewards. So for first one is actually Bazooka. Bazooka is online. I'm going to be sending them out right here. Winner of the 1,000 battleforge point. You won. Congrats. Later feature on the video. Jesus. And then on the bottom I'll put next challenge should be done on the description below when the video is up. Thank you. So then I'll come down here and put 1,000 battleforge point for Bazooka. Make sure everything is correct. There you go. Alright, so I'm gonna go over here again to the other player with his name is Dragon Champion. It's unknown. The player is actually not online. That doesn't matter. With 500. The reason why I'm explaining that is because he doesn't know about the second reward. It would have been 0 reward, but I decided to put a second reward. So he doesn't know this, so he probably might ask me why only 500 instead of 1,000. But because he actually didn't win the first place, he actually won second place. Later feature on the video and the description. Jesus. I swear, it lags in here so bad that the typing is so fucking horrible. Letter featured on the video in the description below. The next video will have the next challenge. So, okay, keep an eye on that. The reward will be done on the 23rd, 2013. I should probably mention that to the other person. And the reason why it's going to be 23rd is because I want to accumulate a little bit more battleforge point. Again, you only get like about booster for 410 or 420 when you sell it, and again you'll get about 150 per daily with a 75 times 2, which is 560 to 560, yeah, 560 to 570 battleforge point per daily. So I'm using that to give you guys a reward, plus whatever I earn that I can buy and resell in the bid area if you see my other video. So let me actually go down here and put 5,000. That wouldn't work. 500 of it. Dragon Champion, send that right now. And we have someone who mailed here. He said, thank you for everything. I got a 500. Love your video. Keep it going. Okay, so that is actually done, and we're going to be able to get into the goddamn video. All right, so the winner of the point should be already in the beginning of this video, and this part of the video, remember this video is pretty much about the little focus on the balance point discussion, which I didn't make that video before. It was very more detailed. It's about 42 minutes. It's probably close to that, who knows. But we're about to start the discussion for it, so you guys will see where is my point of view in certain things about the game and certain things about other games and so on. So when you actually have a discussion about balancing and stuff like that, there's a couple things you have to keep in mind. That when you're doing a discussion in Battleforge specifically, when we're talking about Battleforge, then we have a little subcategory which I spoke before in another video, which I said that the we have PvE and PvP subcategories. Obviously, PvP category is just the amount of group that you're facing each other, like 1v1, 4v4, and so on. But the PvE has a little bit more into that. It does have the PvE side, which is either casual or just people who like to play the map or stuff for fun. And then we have people who are speedruns who just like to play the speedrun. Now, someone actually said this in the forum, which I actually agree with it. Speedruns, all they look to me is pretty much a way to beat the game faster, have higher rank, and at the same time finding a way to exploit the game in a way that you actually finish the game much faster. If you saw the video when I did Harvests, when it's only 3 minutes below, you see that it exploits all the mechanics of the by Harvester, where a speed run is not technically finishing every objective real quickly. It's just getting to the end as fast as you can and finishing and have the highest had the smallest time record, and thus you get a rank into it. Same thing if you actually talk about Sunbridge. If someone, I haven't seen a Sunbridge speedrun video or anything like that, but I've seen people who have done it in 12 minutes. I've done it in 17 minutes, but it still use a exploit mechanic, which is the switch. You switch for 30 seconds, and basically you don't get the abomination to hit you right in the face. Thus, everything becomes like standard instead of actually Esper. So it's technically not playing the game in the way it should be. And I have done this in some other places for a community match to show Emma what I meant by that. But again, that's what speedrun actually looks to me. Just a way to actually pick the mechanic, go on to the end of the match, and that's what they play. later on, you're actually going to see someone that's saying that speedrun actually have wide knowledge, and I actually called the bullshit out of that, because when they spoke about a specific nerf imbalance and stuff like that, until the time that I was speaking to some of the people specifically talking about the Lost Soul deck, when I talked to some of those people, they actually didn't keep in mind of the reason why the deck was built and the PvE aspect of it in a casual form, such as doing map or RPV. The thing about the subcategory for PvE is that you do have a casual and you do have the speed runners. At the same time, when you're doing RPVE, it also separates into those two categories, which you have people just doing everything normally and still finishing the game. It can be 5 minutes left on the map, 6 minutes left on the timer for the map, or then you have other people who want to do a speed run to do it in 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 18 minutes real quickly and such, and that actually separates the other two aspect of each other. So technically I don't see PvE and speedrun together, because when they actually speak in the balance, they don't actually speak in form for PvE, and that actually came to another discussion, which is that we didn't have PvE representative. Some other people call Ultra Cool one of them, or Master X Link one of them, but however, Master X Link haven't haven't played the game in 6 months, or haven't entered the game in 6 months, and at the same time, Master X Link is one of the owner, and at the same time in the back, Mr. I was calling Master. Mr. X-Link is actually an old player, and you can actually see videos about him and such and such. But again, if you're actually talking about Ultra Cool, he did definitely at one point spoke in a way that it sounded very PvE mechanic, like the mechanic of it. Like if you've talked about, for example, Ami, he spoke it in a way of a PvE instead of in a way of a speed runner. So he technically kept the way of how PvE actually works for the mechanics of the game for Battleforge. So let's actually start this up. Keep in mind that there are three main things in this game. There is PvP and PvE, but if you're going to put in subcategories, it's just going to be the PvP player, it's going to be the speedrun player, and it's going to be the casual players, or players who just do maps or anything for fun or anything like that, or just play the normal way. So let's actually start with this one right here. And we're going to use the Lost Soul. I might add some of the discussion between Fireblood and Magma earlier, but that's just to make a point. But we're actually going to be using the Lost Soul as an example over here. As when they talk, and we're going to go ahead and look. We're going to jump over here, and we definitely are going to go in the Lost Spirit ship, and we're going to move up in here so we can see everything together, so there's no missing content in it. But I'm trying to make a point, so I'm going to highlight some of the things here. The first ideal, which actually you come down here, you have, I think most represented here are pretty clear on this issue with this card. It has way too much damage against multiple target. It can move while attacking, make it very easy kite around, especially unit with minimum effort. The knockback comes in handy versus many units, and even some bosses, which I'm pretty sure are the small bosses, or any medium unit. The unit is overall very disruptive, and while hardly anyone uses the ability, I do, because I actually use the Lost Soul pure deck, not splash deck. The heal is really broken, especially when you use the Matter Mastery or Void Manipulation to offset the cost for what is offered. And I actually should have screenshotted this right here, which I will. I'm going to show it right here. It seems to be quite cheap, as has very unrestricted orb requirement. Any idea addressing this issue are welcome. So let's start with this one. Let's go for let's actually skip all of these one, because again, there are a specific mechanic for the Lost Soul deck, why it was built that way. That's actually going to be covered a little bit more later, or at the end of the video. So let's actually go with the part right here that we actually see. While hardly anyone uses the ability, the heal is really broken, and especially using the Matter Mastery or Void Manipulation to offset the cost. So I guess Matter Mastery, use it to recycle, I would say. So I should destroy the tower or so on. But what do we have here in Matter Mastery? What is the color of Matter Mastery? Matter Mastery is Frost and Nature. So where is this fits in? This fits in the category Summarize. If you look at it from the outside of the box, this summarizes it into the Splash deck. So saying we're talking about Matter Mastery at this point, that we know there's something wrong with the Splash deck. Right automatically that comes into mind, because this has nothing to do with the Lost Soul deck completely. Let's actually look at some of these in the bottom, but we're going to look at it over here in this part. So actually point up some of the from highlighting. First idea, remove the knockback and the S-back. It will not affect the speed, but you'll also have to support it more. It will not affect the speed. Speed of what? The speed of what? The speed of moving forward? The speed of finishing a map? With speed of what? It has to be the speed run. Otherwise, I don't understand why it will affect the speed. Bottom comment says it will affect the speed. You will be even faster because you kill S unit way faster. Speed of what? What are we talking about? What map are we talking about? RPVE? The speed of RPVE? Or speedrun in overall? So we look at the bit more and they talk about a little bit damage. I see this card as a support unit for Lost Soul. You're going to notice that on the right side, the beginning of the direct message history with Chibitera. I spoke to Chibitera specifically about this issue, about the Lost Soul. And when I looked at the whole discussion, I said that you guys are talking about two things: splash deck and speedrun. Read the whole thing. That is what your discussion about. Here's my suggestion. However, look at the bottom. We're actually going to get to this suggestion when we look at some of the other screenshots that I have. We can also change the requirement to 2 frost, 2 shadow. That will remove the regrowth support and the forces the Lost Soul player to use the ability. So instead of you actually going regrowth, equilibrium, earth shaker, all that stuff, all that splash into it, put it into the ship's mechanic to only work for the Lost Soul deck, which belongs to the Lost Soul family. That's the reason why that's going to be covered at the end of the video. And then we have 11 likes for that, 11 yes, and 8 no. Obviously the 8 no has to be part of the speed run because obviously you don't want to take that away from them too. They just want to nerf it, but they still want to keep it where casual is not too easy, but again, not many people using it or so on, because a bunch of people in the splashes, a bunch of them uses it, and we're actually going to be covering that later on in the video as well. Therefore make the dragon 1 frost, 1 shadow, 2 neutral. He's weaker than the Lost ship anywhere, and his splash damage is also weaker than Lost ship anyway. However, we get 7 like for that, but for some reason we get 8 dislike and 7 like for this. I hope that the 11 like also is a 7 like for this, because to be honest with you, the way that you look at this as a representative is mean like, no, keep the Lost Spirits to shame, but make sure, yeah, give us the Lost Dragon for more splash damage. However, it can look like that in a representative, but it also can be where they actually agree with the idea of making the Lost Bear ship, and they also agreed to give them the Lost Dragon. So it can be 2 ways on this one. Later on, we actually see someone over here saying, "I will agree with that. If you're good with them, not with this, by the way, not with this, not agree with that. This is actually to a different correspondent. You'll see it as I go into it. Later on, you see that they'll talk about probably 9% of the most players aren't good with them. That is why moving and increasing damage against single target. By the way, they still agree with they're too good for how mindless they are in speed runs. There we go. Hit the hit. It's not speed runs. So we have our first suggestion for the speed run, and we're actually going to go over to the bottom where he says, whether you think they're fine just because Bataria is faster, which is go into Enlightenment, which again, Enlightenment is also a breaking card game. You actually can make a Batario deck. You've seen it in my videos. Dose of Splash, go ahead, make the Enlightenment, have Life Weaving, Holy Healer, her hero, Unholy Heal, Unholy Healer, Holy Power, Regrowth, Disenchant, all that shit. Batario just go in and goes into one-man army. Just because Batario is faster does not mean they're fine. So actually, we're gonna actually cut that right there. We're gonna go over here so we can see the content of the whole thing. Then we have 8 rockets. Somebody speaking about their 8 rockets over here. Then I'm actually going to go slowly onto this so you guys can see it. But majority of this that's posted out is a speed run. Now I actually spoke to Chibitari myself. You see that the beginning of the chat became with 8/11/2019, and not only Chibi. Every time I see in a discussion here, Emma as well. Every time I see a discussion here, I go ahead and speak to those representatives to actually see their mind process. How they think, and to see if everything is all about speed runs or PvP. Now obviously there's nothing here for PvP, so it all becomes either speed run, but there's nothing talk about PvE. However, when I spoke to all these players, my my thing that I want to leave behind to all these representatives is that you need to think about the PvE side. You need to think about why this mechanic was invented for the Lost Barrier ship, and you need to think about the whole map mechanic for that specific deck. You can't just take the Lost Barrier and nerf it in a way that makes it useless for it, or try to take the heal or anything like that, because you have to understand why it was made for the Lost family instead of for the fucking splash that people speak about. So in the bottom we have a here saying that I will not actually remove. See, it's a little, I'm pretty sure it's a no over here. We have here Trim saying no and all that, and then we have here saying yes and stuff like that. And your thing here, I feel like this is our PvE, and I've seen some of these players also agreed in the sense of speed runs over here. So you actually can go to each one of these like this and see who actually voted and stuff like. I for myself voted no on this one when it said cut the damage for the when ships are not moving and stuff like that, because again it does not need for that. So as you see, they're trying to balance it in the way of nerfing and increasing, but later on you see Chibi actually explain it that, you know, the thing for it is support for the lost soul. For example, here you might hear you also get a healing on top of it. While the damage is 2 seconds, the healing on your unit is 250 per second. That leads to 6,250 healing. Healing for the for those 25 seconds per unit. And unlike the other healing in the game, the healing doesn't actually has maximum amount of unit. Blah blah blah. Regrow heals you for XXX. So again, when they're trying to nerf it, they look at it in the whole way. So why not make it Lost Soul deck? I don't see people playing pure Lost Soul deck, and when they actually played the Spirit Lost Spirit ship, they're always using regrowth. Not one of them I see a fucking bar on them. Like, they're not using the recycle. So why are you going to nerf the Lost Spirit ship that belongs in the Lost family when a player is actually playing the deck purely, and then try to nerf it to other players? So see, here's my understanding. You're nerfing it for Splash deck because you don't like seeing it in a way in Splash deck and Speedrun, but then you're also directly nerfing it in the Lost Soul deck for people who play Lost Set. So then people just don't play Lost Soul decks and stuff like that, or the one who actually play Lost Soul deck will not be able to move into a camp, for example RPVE, or do other Esper map, because they're not going to wait. They're going to be waiting for somebody else to heal them. Hey, yo, you're playing nature? All right, you got healed, you got equilibrium? All right, I'm going when you're going. Or go in. I'm not going in. I'm gonna fucking die. My whole unit gonna die. Why? So I can place Lost Soul Revenant or something like that, so they can go back as ghosts and then die again later? Fuck that. You come here and you heal me as well. We go together. You actually go ahead and split of what the Lost Soul can do by actually nerfing it in that way, where either it's in damage or in healing. So my best suggestion, which is still the best suggestion in my opinion, and I have 4 people, 4 rep who actually agreed on this, is to take it away, move it into the Lost Soul family, and take the Dragon or Lost Warden into the Splash deck. So the Dragon is weak, but hey, they do reduce damage, and they also have the Green Affinity also makes it so while Snapper does not work, so building does not work. So some of the units that have certain ability, like either Wrath Gazer or like Raven and Ship or anything like that, you know, they can't use their ability on it when they're being attacked directly by the Lost Soul Green Affinity Dragon. So again, actually read it a little bit more on the bottom. It says, you see, you need 200 energy for Enlightenment, 300 Brutario. Then we talk about here, you also use Disenchant when you play Boom, Boom, and Boom. So actually, not sure about the speed difference and so on. So they start talking about speed difference in here. We also have another person say, I'm not an expert PvE on PvE, but I don't think that Lost SS is strong, and it's just one side boring strategy. So then you have here more argument about it, and I'm just going to show you a little bit more down here so you can see on it. Hopefully, when I talk to these people, when I talk to Radical, when I talk to Emma, when I talk to Chibi, when I talk to Lax, when I talk to a bunch of other representatives in here, when I talk to them, I try to leave them that you need to think about the PvE aspect. So it's simple. You actually skip it down, and I always hope that when I actually came back, like, again, I came back just to see the proposed of all the cards in here and to see where the Lost Spirit should end it, which again is going to be ended in the forum. It's going to actually end in the forum, and what my thought of it is why am I going to fight so hard? I'm just going to let these guys think the way they think, because if I didn't spoke about having this suggestion, this is actually my suggestion. You'll see it a little bit more later. If I didn't spoke about the suggestion, I wouldn't see anybody here making that suggestion. So why not let them all talk? And when they put it on the forum, which that's where the proposed comes in, I'm just going to use my little hammer, destructive hammer, and try to knock down everything they said in the forum. So why am I going to make so much work? Because it's just fucking annoying to do all this and stuff like that. And that's probably the reason why we don't want, even have PvE representative. I was actually, I have 6 people who chose me to become PvE representative. I told fuck no. There's no way that I'm going to do all this shit in here and try to talk about PvE when you have people who have either mindless way to actually thinking. If you have speedrun, and they said in the speedrun that they think in a more knowledgeable, wide knowledge of the game meaning also PvP, PvE, mechanics of the game. That we're talking about the game. We're not talking about wide knowledge of card. Specific word was mentioned, say wide knowledge of the game. Then they should be able to speak about this without even me saying a fucking word. So again, actually scroll a little bit more down, and you can actually read all this because I just wanted to point out the majority of the time was actually speaking about the speedruns and basically PvP, but in here there's no PvP action. You'll see this more around here, like Mutating Eniac or Phasing Tower. They all talk about PvP and they're in despair. So majority of the represented are PvP and speedrunner and stuff like that. From our PvE and speedrun perspective, I agree with Trim here. I don't think LLS are more macro demanding compared to the other speedrun strategies. Am I making my point in here or no? When we're speaking about speedrun and PvP. Anyway, scroll down a little bit, and you can actually read all of this in here, because I'm not going to go all 100%. I'm just going to go, and we're going to be talking about this part right here, where we get to the next point. Some of this discussion became on the video where somebody actually quoted me saying that, you know, the majority of representatives, I said on my video, are speedrun and PvP. Whether it's PvP players, he says at 60%, that's his number. Speedrun 27%, that's his number. So if that is actually true, during this run, it's still majority of speedrun and PvP. Where are the PvE? Later on, if you actually look at the discussion, the people start discussing on how many people can we actually get into the PvE, where can we find PvE players and such, and you'll see that in a minute and so on. So someone actually quoted that on my video, and I actually go ahead and say, yeah, what about it? I actually show here saying it's simple. When we speak about Lost Words, say what comes into mind is summary of the whole thing that you talk about during the time that I was speaking at 8/11/2019. What does it come to mind? Splash and speedrun. But the splash correspond to the speedrun, because that's what it is. People using splash for speedrun. So everything else, majority of the summary of it, splash, speedrun. I have to say it like this because I feel that there's a lot of fucking idiots in every MMORPG that I played, and I have to slow it down. For those who are not the idiots, congratulations. Awesome. Fist bump. Over here it says, type of speedrun are easy but never talked about and deck designed. And why is it that way except Chibi? Chibi once already, after I spoke to him, in the beginning spoke to him a little bit different, and then later on started saying that the spirit, the Lost Spirit said, as I spoke to him already, that it belongs to the Lost Fairy. The Lost Spirit ship is support for the Lost Family Soul deck. And then he actually started speaking more about that. And I actually quite enjoyed that Chibi, out of majority of them, started switching to the side saying, yeah, actually, this the Spirit ship is actually also support the Lost Soul decks. So we also need to keep that in mind. I actually appreciate that, because to be honest with you, when you actually speak to some people, they have this fucking brain where they think they are the best, as it says over here. You'll actually see more about it. Let me talk about it. I said over here, the majority of the talk equals speedrun or PvP. I've seen Ultra Cool speak about the mechanic on PvE, and I've seen Chibi himself speak about the support rules of the Lost Ship. And this actually way later on last Friday, not this Friday or anything like, or last other Friday. We'll talk about my speech was on the 11th. Count back, and that's how many times it was before. again, I then seen some like a dark and PM 1v1 conversation mentions about what it takes out and what it give in, like the Vile Plume. And the reason why it is because I saw, for example, when I spoke about Dark, also about the same thing for the Lost Soul deck, I told him that he actually gave me something to talk about the Vile Plume. And I told him that, listen, if you're going to talk about the Vile Plume and stuff like that, what are you taking out? You guys are talking about Vile Bloom as mindless or too easy for PvP. So okay, Vile Bloom goes in, punches the little fucking whales and monument, and then if you kill it, boom, leave a splash of goose in their fucking monuments. Or Power Whale, which does a lot of damage. If you see my video, you'll see in the Bad Harvest how much damage it actually deals to my whale. Very close to killing it too. So then I tell him, if you're going to speak about this, then what do you take out for it? Because what about the PvE aspect, the Twilight deck? If you're going to take Vile Bloom, what can you give it? Later on, it ended up with the discussion saying that Twilight Creeper with balancing stats to actually have something for it. We also spoke at one time about Mount Hurler and stuff like that. When I actually see it right here. See what I'm talking about here. The majority of the talk speed run, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, and many talks never covers about people speed run, PvP and speed run. And I think we can quote one person who said not to do so and stuff like that. Now, in all actuality, I did not mean in a way that speed run should be kept out. And that's not the point of this here. One other thing here that I want to keep in mind is that when I quoted this person, there's a lot of things that I should have highlighted, but the reason I didn't is because down here I don't want to fucking bother. Like, I already bothered once, and the whole shit is stupid. So they either want to bother, and that's probably why we don't have to be a representative. They don't want to fucking bother. So to be honest, really bad idea for the community to balance the changes. You all have agreed to it, blah blah blah. People being just rude to one another and boasting how good they are just to make themselves bigger in the dev's eye. Whether you are big or not, or you're trying to make yourself big, either way of those suggestions on top that I just said does not make you correct, by the way. I have been top in many of games that I have played, except this game, because I'm playing this as a nostalgia. It's a fucking private server. So, as coming back to play as a nostalgia, I'm not going to try to become the best in here. There's naturally nothing. If I ever want to become best or something, it's probably Fortnite, because if you have to become the best at Fortnite, you probably might have a chance to win 3 million silver. I'm sorry, silver. I'm talking about the game! $3 million with that 16-year-old kid. Anyway, so in here I actually played more casual onto it, and I played to help people. I played to actually enjoy the nostalgia until Hytale comes out, and then I won't be playing Battleforge because Hytale is my new home that I've been talking about way so I'll be on the line. So in here, some more people want to say that they try to make themselves big on their eyes, or maybe they are big in the dev's eye, or so on, or maybe they are big in a game. That does not mean they are correct, to be honest with you. And we'll go down in a little bit more later. Then again, here say focus on useless card, which again, Elliot's actually quoted me on this point in here, and we have two people here with the wrong. I'm pretty sure Preface is actually saying no on the part where it's saying not keep it speed to run in mind, which later on I do end up saying that. When I'm talking about this quote, the people blowing out of proportion. The reason I point on here is some part is if I actually were here to put it, I don't consider myself an expert when it comes to be rebalanced. I have to actually read this again because again I have to look at it. Focus on the loosest card. You won't enrage anyone of making an unplayable card just a little bit better to rebalance the PvP. There you go. This is actually one of the quotes that I wanted to have. Focus, rebalance PvP while having PvE in mind. Then and later on he says PvE is much more prone to any changes. I've seen some people on the forum talk about balancing the car around speedrun, which is completely joke for me. Okay, this is actually his example. But the point here that I try to make that I actually didn't highlight it because I am fucking tired of actually talking with some of these people. It's almost like fucking clueless shit. Talking to a monkey. No offense to them, but it almost feels like that. When talking about rebalancing, you want to keep in mind the PvE. If you actually, in this part, I disagree with him about the speedrun. You have to keep three things in mind. PvE casuals, PvE overall, especially the mechanics, speedrun, and then PvP. That is where I actually speak about this kind of topic, okay? So then later on we actually have another over here where I talk about the representative of it because some people saying that there are some representative in here. when you read all this, let me tell you, one of these two players is actually one of the high players as well, that people actually look up to. I'm not gonna say which one it is, but again, you can actually see that actually agreed with it later on, that there's not enough representative. I have spoken to many people, not only in here but in game. If you actually seen some of the things when I actually asked about a survey or anything like that, what you don't see in the video is that I'm always speaking to new players. I'm always speaking to old players, and I'm always asking about specific things. Even at the Lost Soul, I also asked, it's like, this is why they tried to nerf it because of Splash and stuff like that. So what do you think about making this into a Lost Soul only deck and stuff like that? And they agree with it. I probably should record that, but I'm hearing some people saying that showing PM like this, showing the whole thing, because I have a bunch of PM and stuff like that, and I recorded each one in screenshot. If people know me about Albion Online, they will know that I screenshot a lot of things, because either people like to change and edit it, or they also like to retract their statement. So when I spoke to a bunch of people, I speak about the part about speedrun and about PvE and the PvP to suggesting. This majority of the time I spoke of the Lost Spirit ship, and I spoke to them saying that you need to keep PvE in mind. Later on, we had a little more conversation about this, which I'm sure some of these things that we're talking about here was actually from the quote. If you actually look at the guy saying about balancing over here, focus on useless card first and stuff like that. But again, it wasn't too highlighted, so I'm actually going to go to the part in here, and I actually mentioned some of the stuff in here as well. So why talk about Magma Hurl thing? One time I talk about Magma Hurl is because I said that they made suggestion about making Magma Hurl to Orb. Whether it's dismissed or not, a suggestion is fucking made. So if a suggestion is made, you need to make another suggestion about it, like counter to it, or counter to it. So basically what I mean about this, whether shut it or not, making a point. Consider a change that is being said without keeping in mind. As for starter deck, has there been one suggestion at all about it, about the whole starter of it? Like, it hasn't been suggested one time? No. You know why? Because when they talk about the changes about the Magma Hurl, they never thought about those who start the game after wipe and start with a starter deck. Of course, you can change the starter deck, which I talked to Dark something, but with the Vile Bloom and stuff like that, which they say they can make it, but they not once made a suggestion about it. So if it never comes out, if I never make it to come out, who is going to make it come out? If I speak about the Lost Spirit ship, about the 2 Frost and 2 Shadow, who else is going to do that? That is actually my suggestion. If I don't make it, nobody else make it. So what I thought about it is that I'm going to wait until it hits the forum, boom, then I'll hit it. Then I'll fucking fight for it. Because there's no reason to fight previously for it. So then here I told him that, listen, when I looked at the Magma Hurl suggestion about making it 2, look at my starter. I showed one of the guys who was speaking about it in PM, one of the representatives, and I said, look at this deck for a starter deck. I can do 10, 9, and 8. But you have to go nature. Then you have to go, after that, I think it's fire. Nature, fire, shadow, ice. And Magma Hurl is in it. If you take Magma Hurl into 2 orbs, you fuck up that starter deck. And then you're only left with the fucking Flyer, Swamp Drake, and Silver Lancer. Which is no way efficiency than a Magma Hurl. Knocking back, doing a lot of damage if you see my starter deck videos for it. So then, again, has there been any suggestion where you guys speaking about PvP or speedrun or anything like that? Has there been any suggestion about the starter deck? If you're concluding any of the cards in the starter deck that we get. No. Then this is what I meant. I'm trying to make a point. Yes. Whether shatter or not, make a point. Consider the changes that being said without keeping in mind. As for the starter deck, again, no one suggested it. I don't make it. Nobody make it. Then make the changes. If they do make the changes and succeed, then the starter deck is nerfed. Then somebody else is going to argue about why you guys took the Magma Hurl, which is great for the starter deck. It gets too late. When thinking about, again, majority of this conversation, when thinking about PvP and speedruns, you need to have the PvE represented. You need to have someone thinking about PvE outside of the box. As a whole, content. You can't just think about speedrun PvP, because then this fucking game becomes speedrun and PvP. And if that's what happens in the end, that you, trust me, you have a lot of casual players here. You have fucking no idea how many casual players you have here because I'm playing every day with these casual. I only made one speed run, and that was the only time I did that. So in speedrun, I can't actually talk much, but I can talk to the representative to teach me about it. Hallie says he was going to. I have a PM about that. He said he wasn't. I haven't gotten any information about that, Alice. But anyway, he said he was actually I told him that I didn't need any help in the PvE section because I finished the map, as you can see. However, I did ask Alice, since he is a speedrun, can you actually give me more so I can see the process of the mind of a speedrun? And Alice, if you're actually watching this, because I know you're watching my videos and stuff like that, I'm still waiting about you teaching me about a little bit more about speedrun. It actually helps me to understand the part side of the speedrun and such. And I did it once, and all I think is, to be honest with you, when I did it once, only shit I saw in there's just exploit mechanic, get to the end, finishing it under 3 minutes or so on and such, and then you get 6,000 gold depending on what cards you get to disenchant. Under 3 minutes, 6,000 gold, and that's it. In all honesty, do you speedrunners ever think about the mechanic of the game, why the game was actually invented in a certain way? All you guys actually at the moment is showing in me is that you love exploit and being high rank. Which in actuality, to be honest with you, only those who are speedruns majorly will give a shit. Or those who want to suck your dick. You know, oh, this guy's best, everybody know him. Hey, let me be with you or something like that. It's almost like the people going for PewDiePie saying, hey man, do you know who I am? Oh, he knows who I am, hey man. Or anything like that. When you see it a casual and you actually make it a survey about these type of people, casual, they can give 0 fucks about it. To be honest with you. Just go again and play with these play with these casual players and ask questions to this casual player. You're gonna get a lot of answer and stuff like that. But again, Alice, you actually didn't win and you invited me into an RPVE runs. But again, we have language barrier between you and I. I have to speak very slow, and I had to use specific word for your translator. And you know about the PM between you and me on that. So I think you need to actually find a translator, and you still need to step up and teach me about the speedruns and stuff like that. Not that I want to do speedrun, but it gives me a mind and understanding, a wider knowledge to understanding the mind of a speed runner instead of looking at a video and seeing something that looks ridiculous. And that's probably what the other guy said, that when they was actually keeping a mind in the speed run, he thought it was a fucking joke. This guy right here. Moving on, when I made the last suggestion, what these are all I tried to make these, by the way, in a way that it doesn't seem close, because I did had a conversation with someone, and you can actually tell who it is by this. But anyway, I try to make it this long so you can't tell how many different people there are in here. There's different people, but again, I heard showing PM of these people is actually rude. So when I talk about the speedrun, the suggestion about the Lost Soul, I show it in here, and I gave long ass talk. I'm talking about pages and pages of spam versus these guys. And any of these guys can come into the videos and comment. Go ahead and come and say that I did, because I basically did it. I pretty much spammed the living shit out of your PM to the point where it looks like a wall text. Anyway, in the discussion that I had with them, here's some of the answer that they gave me. It is possible to change suggestion, and you both agreed to that. Basically, this person is saying if I agree with it, if me and someone else agreed with the changes of the 2 Frost and 2 Shadow. Later on, that same person said, but you will have all speedrun against you. You're right. I know I'm going to have all speed runners against me, because that's the fucking topic. About speedruns, not about PvE in general. So let's actually look for the next text. I think to start better, maybe better. This might be somebody else. I think it's better, maybe to better focus on deck cards. I agree. Make them playable. I agree. Lower ore requirement rather than increase. I may disagree, because again, you still should increase the requirement of Lost Spirit ship to stop the whole fucking stupid thing about the splash deck with the Lost Spirit, which has already 11 yes. At the moment, I can post a suggestion in your name, but I won't vote yes. I told him that you can do whatever you want. I am not going to make the suggestion, and I'm not going to be a representative or anything like that, for very good reasons. it makes sense as another person. It makes sense somehow. But we first want to give alternative, maybe increase some requirement. Now I spam you wait. This is actually somebody else speaking to me, and he spammed me with a what do I think about this? And to be honest with you, he was speaking about pure decks, how they're all underpowered. And holy God, did I fucking agree with that. Is pure, if you look at maybe a couple videos of mine, is pure deck being less greater than hybrid decks, hybrid pure, which less than hybrid decks. Hybrid deck is pretty much all the colors. Hybrid pure, which is basically, for example, Lost Soul, Death Stone Skin, which is greater than pure decks. Full one color. Nature, full frost, full shadow. It is. No, there's no debate about that. Go ask in the forum or something so around so you can see that. I think the Lost Souls are strongest fixed color. And the main reason in LSS, Lost Spirit Soul, Spirit Ship, sorry, Lost Soul Spirit. So I think the strong cards should only belong to the pure Lost Soul. To be honest, I don't quite understand the dialogue between you and X, because this is another person that I'm speaking, and I'm showing him different dialogue that I had with other representative, because I can't just I take you, all three of you, let's talk together. Look what we all said. Look what I said to this person, and this person, and now how do you agree upon it? Because the chosen representative are only to speak in that discussion. Later on, you see how people are allowed to speak in the discussion. Before it wasn't like that. It was question that only representatives are allowed to speak, but now they made a discussion area where all the non-representative can go crazy at it and stuff like that. But again, I couldn't speak during that time, so again, during that time, I said it here. I don't quite understand the dialogue of you and X, which I spoke is one of the representatives about that I spoke about the Lost Soul, and probably because I'm missing context. And I told him, yeah, this person I spam what the other guy and I talked about. It was so long, and I told him, yeah, because you don't want to look at that. You don't want to see the spam of him and I going back and forward, and then later up ended up in an agreement. Aporian says, nah, I didn't say that. I think the healing's too good, not that it's needed to go entirely. Why is it too good? Well, if it is for the Lost Soul, it will be good. If it is for everything else, which you'll see later on in the video, you'll see why it's too good. In pure Lost Soul deck is fine. What? In pure Lost Soul deck is fine? No, duh. But this card is splashable. Bam! That's where we get the content of the whole suggestion thing about nerfing. Splash and fucking speedrun. Splashable. In other decks, you can start stacking heals and damage reduction. Oh God, you're about to see this in a video sooner or later, right? Just give it a minute. Give it a minute. Matter mastery, etc., and super levels. So again, all these some of these are same, some of these are different, and then some of these are also different again. That will be a I asked him during this time, another player. Listen, make it 2 frost, 2 shadow, right here. Make it 2 frost and 2 shadow. Wouldn't that be the solution? You can have Lost Dragon or Lost Wording. It's all yours. Take them. I mean, they do great. Lost Dragon Affinity, no ability to use and stuff like that. No range use. So, I mean, Skycatcher should be able to use their fucking shit. And then, Wild Sapper for paralyzing. Boom, hit it. They can't. They should be able to use their shit. Hit a cannon. Get a fucking cannon. Hammerfall, anything. Any kind of cannon. World Breaker. Hit it. With the Lost Dragon green affinity. They can't use their ability. Okay, take that and give me the Lost Spirit. Make it only for the Lost Soul. That would be a solution, yes. But the question is, what Lost Soul bring to the table as a splash faction now? That's when I told him, okay, if you're worried that you take the Spirit Ship away from Lost Splash, from the Splash decks, you can have the Lost Dragon, okay? You can have the Lost Dragon. Now, I don't think this is actually Chibi. This is actually somebody else. Chibi does make the suggestion that I told him, which is you can have the Lost Dragon for the neutral. Give me back the Lost Spirit Ship because it belongs to the Lost family. It is a card that support the Lost deck completely. LS was a huge reason to splash into the Lost Soul into T4, and I don't think they really see a good reason to do so without it. Yeah, you're right. Isn't that right? Yeah, and that's what I'm worried about. What he's worried about is that they take the Lost Spirit ship away into the Fool, like to Frost and to Shadow, and there's nothing that they can have. Again, here I keep explaining him, have the Lost Dragon. Maybe it would be possible to buff the rest of the faction a bit, but that will take some time, and it probably would be simpler to leave the LLS as a splash. See? We're still talking about the splash. So, I actually agree with Samtar about this. You will have to buff first the pure decks. Then you will have to buff the hybrid pure decks in a way that that I can use the Lost Spirit ship, not use the Lost Spirit ship and able to do something else that heals it. Maybe blood healing. Maybe make it so that it doesn't take. Maybe make it wider. Make blood healing wider, like Lost Soul, and heal more, and still keep the sacrifice. I wouldn't like that, to be honest with you. You know what? Don't take the sacrifice, and make it 4, 2 Shadow, 2 Frost. Out of the top of my head, without thinking of the precaution. There you go. Now you can have the fucking Lost Spirit ship for everything, and nerf it the way you want it. I have my heals now. See? Keep moving down. I speak to somebody else about it and tell them someone else, and I said, hey, what about this? 2 Shadow, 2 Frost will be an option, but I would say that I wait to some more input before making any sort of proposal. Especially Trem tends to have good PvE insight. However, we're about to get into that. I feel like I'm just showing it for that. Well, if you want to have more voice, you could become a representative as well. There are just many players contact me recently. I won't have time for any extended chat about balance. And I say, I'm sorry, but he's actually right. There's a lot of people PMing them because when you're making it a nerf, they want to give their thoughts and their point of view. So far, I have 4 representatives who agree with the 2 Shadow, 2 Frost, and I have some other representatives who disagree with it. But in the bottom, you see it says, "But I agree that things that should be kept in mind." That was actually talk about the starter deck, and I want to put that in there somewhere where I actually talk about starter deck. Someone says that stuff's to be kept in mind, which nobody did. Okay, so let's move to the next area. You can tell who the fuck this is, to be honest, tuning out with you. Someone said here, Trent tends to have some good PvE insight. Well, anyway, we'll see about that in some future later. Let's see if you can find out later on. The LS is not the main damage card of the composition anyways, right? You're kidding, right? For Splash it is. Name another one for pure Lost Soul deck, please. Remember, the Splash that I'm talking here is not talking about Splash such as different color. Splash damage is what it's talking about here, because we're talking about main damage for the Lost Soul. Splash damage. When you have 5 or 6 ships, it equals better than having 5 or 6 Lost Dragon. Then you have Lost Warding, a single target XL damaged creature. Yes, it is. It is actually much higher. I just run Lost Soul deck without LSS at all, and it worked beautifully with just blood healing and Lost Evocation. You're about to see a video about the blood healing and stuff like that. Blood healing doesn't allow you to heal itself. Like if you use blood healing, you can't use a regrowth on top of that thing. So you have to actually kill everything quickly. But when you're using an RPVE scenario, you're not really going to kill everything real quickly. Trust me on that. Unless you're using someone else's going together and stuff like that, then you have 2 groups in there, and during that time, that guy is still going to get hit with the blood healing. Cannot heal during that time, even if you put another blood healing next to that, because it says so on the card. You'll see that more later. When he says like, I just run Lost Soul deck without LSS. Can you show me? Your 50 meters blood healing will save you in RPVE. Oh man, you have to make a video for me about that. Got nature player with me in that one, Sally. Just what I had on hand. I told him that you cannot heal. You can only heal with the blood healing. You have to. If you're talking about you only need blood healing in here, you only need blood healing Lost Evocation. You can't have someone supporting you with fucking regrowth and equilibrium. Show me it. In one of my matches of the video in the past, you see me actually going alone. with the Lost Spirit ship and able to contain myself to survive and able to finish that side with no help of somebody else, because the Lost Spirit ship mechanic supports the Lost Soul deck in a way to keep it alive. If something dies, it has Revenant onto it. That's what the Lost Spirit ship was actually invented and stuff like that. Blood healing wasn't invented before the wasn't invented after blood healing, after the Lost Spirit ship. It was invented before it. Blood healing was for those Shadow Pure decks back then. So if you have something like Wrath Gauge and stuff like that, you have something to heal each other. For example, if you have the worm that does disintegrate, you'll find out that that worm is going to go down in HP, right? So how do you heal that worm? To finish its disintegration, you use another one to use blood healing, and that worm now can still disintegrate, but keep an HP to full in a way that it doesn't die. But the blood healing was not only for the Lost Spirit ship, the Lost Soul deck. It's not like, oh, this is actually for Lost Soul. No, it was actually for something else. The Lost Spirit ship was for the Lost Soul, which also can be used for that worm as well, if you're going that route, of course. I don't think you're going that route. I think that thing costs like 3 shadow anyway. Anyway, not 100% sure about how much it costs. Anyway, to make a point, you're still going to need the Lost Spirit ship. The person then says, you're aware that I don't have to actually prove anything here. When I play with some guys, I will come back to you. Yeah, I said that yes. Yeah, I am aware that people talk shit out of their ass and stuff like that. Listen, if you're a top player around here, take this to heart. Just because you're a top player doesn't mean you're fucking right. I've seen this in a more than 130 MMORPG. You may have knowledge for the game, but does not make your opinion a fact. Keep that shit in mind. And I say it like this because you're fucking stupid. Then later on it comes into later, it says he actually laughs, and then during that time I start the trolling because I know what type of player this is. You want to know what type of player this is? Look over here into one of my channel. Come down into Abia Online. Come here into Dion Gaming channel. Come down into Abia Online for the video. And then jump maybe into this one right here. Jump into this one. Understanding gaming players. Actually, it has a lot of views, and there's a lot of people. There's some people actually having a good laugh of it as well. For example, this player says, "Great job. I enjoy your post. Rolf, keep playing with new and stuff like that." It's funny because they enjoy how much this video was right. People actually go around there, either they're top or they think they're top. One of them two. Either one is fine. But for some reason, they think they are correct. Every suggestion that they make, everything they talk out of their mouth means facts. For some reason. No, it does not fucking mean facts. You're not always correct. Okay? And that's why you actually have in the Discord, that's where you have more negative than agreeing onto it, on that point of discussion and stuff like that. You may agree with it because you are a speedrun. Speedrun does not mean that you know about PvE correctly, because for some reason all this discussion about speedrun is all about splashable without understanding the mechanic of the game. Again, it becomes a troll discussion after here. Careful, don't talk about your ass, might be needed it. Don't talk to you better like that. Oh, remember that thing I talk about here? Remember that thing about here? People being rude about other one, how good they are, just making themselves bigger than the dev's eyes. Don't talk to you better about it. Don't see any better. Just arrogant. Insert favorite word here. Taking too long to type, bro. The person actually now, since he's actually being a dick, I'm being a dick back, and he actually takes so long in typing. So I'm now start hitting him on that. You're just coming and demanding replay from me. Read this part. Having the demanding window is see typing slow demanding. I just run the Lost Soul day without ads. Can you show me? Your 50-meter blood healing will save you in our PvE. Oh man, you have to make a video about me and Sunny. First word, can you? So you can say no. I'm not. That's it. You didn't say no, and then I said you have to. That's demanding. You don't even know. You don't even fucking know English for some reason. Listen, I'm bad at typing English, but sometimes I also bad at English and. This actually is big because I am actually also bad in English completely overall. I'm Spanish. My main language is Spanish. I'm Puerto Rican. So you don't know English enough to understand what's the difference between this. Again, Second word, oh man, you have to make a video for me, is to show me that what you're talking about. Because, you know, honesty, if you don't show me what you're talking about, then you're bullshit out your ass. I actually can show blood healing, and I can show you how weak it is. Again, if you actually look back at the part up here, we have someone here saying, let's go for here. I see this card as support unit for LS since he is the only way that the healing unit, beside blood healing, which isn't that great for Lost Soul. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that? You know who you are in here. Do you agree with that? Or you're too stuck up your fucking ass that you think your opinion actually means facts? Anyway, let's keep going. Many can't get rank in RPVE either. Oh, you're top rank or something like that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Does that mean any fucking shit? No, it actually doesn't, because in all honesty, if you actually spoken, for some reason, if you're actually tank 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, if you're rank in any of those, if you're ranked top rank on any of those, and you actually spoke in a PvE sense, then I would say, yeah, your rank actually shows that you know your game or something like that. In speedrun, by the way, in speedrun, going up there. Ooh, I'm fast. I can actually end this real quickly. I know everything of the game. No, shove that shit out of your fucking ass. Does not mean any shit, to be honest with you. Right there, you can also see other people can actually disagree with you, and so on. For example, you have two other people disagreeing with each other, who one is neither top or one is on top, and then again it goes back and forth, showing that the top feels that he's always right of what he speak about, while the other, the bird in the bottom, speak about the mechanic of the game. You can see that somewhere around it. So again, I said, what does that have to do with the demanding? We're changing the subject? Jesus, bro, let's focus on one step, because many speak of their ass out. Haha, you just corrected yourself. You know, in order to make sure that this person don't look like a fucking idiot, I went ahead and said thanks. At least I don't have to wait too long to type though. So where is the demanding? In honesty, cause many speak out of their ass. Not out. I'm correcting you, dumbass. But again, I'm trying to make it like this so we don't go back to this subject in here, because if I said I'm correcting you, the player will keep speaking in the bottom back and forward. Again, he said thanks. Again, he goes here, well, whatever. I don't really need to waste my time. Then I says nothing on that next subject you don't want to talk about. You know, why are you still here then? If you don't want to waste your time. Don't answer that. He's actually typing in the bottom. You can see him typing in the bottom, because he says, if you look at Discord, you can see when someone is actually typing and saying, don't answer that. Oh, damn. See, oh, you lost. Right there, he actually posted here and says, you have to make a video. Sure hell sounded demanding to me. Jesus Christ. Am I speaking to fucking dumbass? I swear, maybe I should try to like get a rank 1 in something, and then maybe I can speak out of my ass and make it look like I'm right. Listen, I've been playing 100 MMORPG, and I can show you some of the games where I was topped, and I can show you some of the good suggestions that I made as a top player, thinking about all type of mechanic, and then I can actually show you how I manipulated one game only. Manipulated by talking shit out of my ass and sounding convincing. And when I did that, the suggestion came in. You know what the suggestion was? To make a Scorpion card in a pay-to-win game, which I have, me and only 5 other players have the card to beat it. As a top player for that fucking game, I manipulated lies so convincingly to make myself look good. And that was years ago. I am talking about 5 years ago to show you. I don't do that anymore. But that's just to show you that when I see people speaking about speedrun and stuff like that, I see it like a little group talking together and agreeing about certain things about it. And since there's no PvE representative, the majority of the group wins, right? That's how usually it goes in most games. Same thing with Albion Online. The representative of the round of the table, majority obviously in the focus PvP are PvP. I don't see any PvE players in there making suggestions at the round table or testing things about that. You guys can check that out on my Albion Online video. Jumping about here, this same player actually goes in game and says 500 BFP to anyone who can beat the current one-player gamer. Do you know what I did after I saw that? I went into a bunch of casual players and stuff like that, or maybe other players stuff like that, and say, have you done it? No. 500 BFP. Do you think that's enough? No. What about 2 to 3,000? Yeah. Well, this player right here boasts his shit in chat about him being either 1, 2, 3 rank. I'm not going to mention the rank in there because then you can know who it is. 1, 2, 3 ranks, and then in that situation, then why don't you boast it in 2 to 3,000 battleforge points if you feel like nobody can beat you on it? That's because no one gives a fucking shit. You can go inside a game and try to make yourself look at, hey guys, beat the number 1 for 500 BP so people can actually look at the rank 1 and see who it is. But majority of the survey that I did for those players does not give a shit about that. Anyway, heading into it, majority of the conversation becomes into speedrun and PvP. Then you have some of the speedrun, not all of them, trust me, not all of them. Chibi, Radical, I speak to all of them. They have a good understanding and stuff like that. I also spoke to Emma and all the stuff like that. I haven't spoke to Hallis because there's a language barrier between him and I. I'm not sure if he's Russian or German, but it's one of those two. But I speak to those people who have a good concept. Not all speedruns are fucking idiots and dumbass or self-centered. I've seen some speedrun, like the one you just see right there, who somehow feel that the rank 1 means shit for some reason. However, in one of the parts around down here, you see, I told you around here, someone says speedruns should be considered because they have very wide knowledge of the game. When you say very wide knowledge of the game, we're talking about PvP, PvE, mechanics of the game. If you're talking about the mechanic, in my perspective point, if you're talking about the mechanic of games such as exploits and stuff like that, and map and stuff like that, yeah, they do. If they're talking about PvE, fuck no, because none of them actually go ahead and talk about the specific of it. Like the PvE aspect of it, of the deck, why the card is made for that deck. And here's a fucking hilarious point about this. Chibi, ultra cool. Chibi, I don't know if he's actually a speedrun or anything like that, but Chibi did spoke about it in a wider sense. And then when I spoke about Chibi about it, he didn't want to agree with the suggestion that I made, but he did put it up there in consideration and such like that. I feel Chibi has a little bit more wider understanding now and a little bit back then. Like back then, I would say he have half understanding of it. Now, after speaking to him and stuff like that, not this date, back then, 8/11/2019, I feel like he has more understanding of it. But I cannot consider him pure PvE, pure PvE yet, because I need to see more aspect of people of the speedrun talking about the aspect of PvE. So if someone, for example, the way Ultra Cool talked, for example, right here. Look, let's go to Amy. 1 second, Amy. The way we have speedrun right here, speedrun preface versus someone who people consider PvE. When you look at his discussion, from top to bottom, Ultra Cool speak in the aspect of mechanic, which feels to me that he is PvE. And then Preface speaks in the aspect of speedrun, which already I can tell that he's a speedrun onto it. So people actually suggest that Preface is actually a PvE. If you look at some of the part of the video of the discussion over here, someone says exactly Preface and Triumph. You have around here, where's that person who says ultra cool? Did I have it here somewhere? Sorry if I don't. Let me see. Okay, so I have it somewhere. Oh, yeah, here it is. Either way, not enough 80% or something like that. Common sense. The first time I see common sense for the first time, it's ultra cool. But however, I forgot. Someone did say ultra cool. I don't have the screenshot here for it right now on making this vid, and I want to make this vid any longer. But someone suggested the ultra cool was actually a PvE. Sorry, my thoughts are a little bit over because I just want to be done with this video. Let's head to some of the part in here for the last part of the video. Jesus Christ. Video is going to be like an hour long. I don't think anybody's going to watch this shit. So then we have it here. Somebody talking about, for example, Chibi speak about the mechanics of someone using Altar of Chaos. Should be around here somewhere. Definitely there's 8 rockets. Did we speak about here? Okay, no. Is it Chibi speaking about that or this guy? Let me see. Not bad when I felt about this, but killing no rocket for blah 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 knockback hitters. the support unit. Alright, here we go. Once places, here it is. Very easy way to use this ability. A little information about the ability. The ability is to use Altar of Chaos and use that ability to spawn 4,000 HP building next to the ship. Then use the Spirit first ability to absorb those HP, and you have enough HP for more than 2 uses. Incorrect. It's actually 2 uses, not more than 2 uses. We'll show that in the video. It costs you 250 energy once, and after that, you get to stone. You get the stone for free whenever you want. The once it's placed, it deals something damage and stuff like that. Now he didn't went really into it of how it's actually done, but I'm sure he's using the cultist mechanic. Let's actually hit that video. It's actually right here in the recordings. We're actually going to hit the video right here. I'm pretty sure it's this one. So we're going to edit that into the video. Going to edit this last part into the video, and then I'm going to come back for the end part of the whole video here. This is actually the video right here that is being uploaded. Let's hit that right here. Let's take a little moment and actually see some of the things that he actually means by this. Majority of the time, I think you will use the master cultist, because otherwise you would have to use a warlord or any other bigger creatures to actually go into the altar to be sacrificed. Obviously, that means it'll be more expensive for the master cultist. The way I used my master cultist before, as I use my altar to destroy my enemies with the altar instead of sucking the life out of it with the recycle, the way I use it, it was this way. So I'm pretty sure, I'm positive that this is actually what he means. You grab, you move them away, and you grab these guys and you move them into the altar. And you move these guys into this altar. Careful with this guy though. So most likely you might want to have more of this. So you have to spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you have it summon these things while the Lost Spirit ship goes ahead and suck it. That gives you this amount of bar, and then you have to wait for the cooldown, as you see right now. So during that time, let's actually use some of the Lost Spirit's ability, which is the recycle, while this actually loads in. Alright. And then we have this ready to be put up in here. We're also going to do, just for the sake of it, we're going to look for a little ice barrier, just to make this a little bit more realistic, as we're going to test this over here, so you guys can see it for yourself when someone speaks about balance and stuff like that. So let's put a little balance, ice barrier here, and put the guys close to it so it can generate HP. Now, as you see, it's actually not 3. When you have to speaking about this part right here, they say more than 2 and so on. HP are more than 2 uses. Technically, if we are going to be talking about a specific topic, we have to be very correct on what we actually use in specific term. It's not more than 2. It's literally 2. If you use it, if you suck this up again, you're probably obviously going to get full bar, which then you can use the full round. But technically, it's not more than 2. It's just 2 uses for it. And this is our upgrade. This is in the private server, by the way. So all the cars in here that you see right now, right, give me a second, I have to take the name out. There you go. All the cars here are all upgraded, charged to 3 and everything. Look, see, so 2 uses. So majority of the time you will have to spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would say, what is master? Let's add this into the deck. Okay. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's put 9 here. This is actually pretty good. So you'll have to do a lot of micromanages for this. So actually, we're gonna go ahead and destroy the goddamn ship. Summon 2 of these right here. Okay. And then move this away if you can. Oh, screwed up a bit in there. Yeah, that worked just fine. Maybe a little bit more or less cultist. Kind of, maybe a little bit less. Maybe 1 less, and that'll be good. then you're going to summon 2 of these, and you have to make sure you suck them up quickly, because otherwise they'll explode and destroy everything. So we're going to actually put 2 here, get this guy to suck this side to suck this one. Then the only problem is that I have to do this very quickly, as the guys back there are also regenerating. Oh, come here. Then you have to wait for this duration right here. So, there you go. Now I have it. And you suck this up. During this whole section, again, you already spent this much for it, right? You already spent this much for the Cultist Masters to start using a 60 per whatever amount there is here, like 9. So 60 times 9. And then your Lost Spirit ship are not done. They should not go in that HP. They always should go full HP. By the time you're doing this back and forward and so on, your team in RPVE is going to fucking hate you. I swear to God, they're going to hate you. However, if you're doing this in any regular map that has no timer, this is actually efficient to actually use. It's just it's going to take a little bit longer. So what other fast way you can actually do it? Well, basically, it's actually destroy all this. Which this is actually, to me, the more efficient way. Armor tower. Now, technically, let me actually do it like this so you guys can see it. Technically, there is a... Jesus Christ, I didn't actually put the building inside here. Armor. Armor. Thank you. Alright. When you have this... It's 50% reduce. If you see my video, you'll see it's 50%. You can actually rate it down here. It's about 55% faster, and it will require 25% less. So these guys are going to cost, I think, 60. If I make the math right, should be 60. So you basically have the ships. Summon 2 ships, and you summon only 2 cultists. The reason why they summon the 2 cultists is because majority of the fight when you're in there, I forgot to actually add another card here, majority of the fight that you start using spells such as Lost Evocation or anything that that gives you a little bit more void to the mana. Again, this is actually going to cost less if you actually do it around here with the construction, which you should. When you do these and you're actually multitasking and so on, you're actually going to be sending these guys into you're going to kill these guys basically. You can either send it to as well to the Altar Chaos, but I don't do that because I'm not using Altar Chaos anymore. So I just send it to go into the void so I can get actual pool power. So it actually speeds this up as well, but again, you're going to be using these 2 majority of the fight, because you're going to, unless someone else is using Shrine of War or something that gives you the void power back real quickly, you're going to be using it to be able to have your power back, so you'll be able to summon more. So this is actually the way I actually do it. I have construction, and these are going to cost me 120. When I actually have these guys to go in it, it sucks up of it, and it has this much already. So then I actually use these guys while actually summon a little bit more. When they die, when these guy dies, I will get my power back, a fraction of that power back from these buildings. So I'm able to summon it very quickly. I don't have to wait for the duration of Altar. And then I go out of my way to use the ability fully. I think will be, if you look at here, it's will be 1, 2, 3, 4, I would say. And then that's the way I do it. So the Altar of Chaos in RPVE, I will not think it's efficient enough and fast to be fast enough because everybody's going to be waiting on you, or they're going to go ahead of you and they're going to ask, an ally has wanted your attention, an ally has grabbed your attention. It's just going to get fucking annoying all day. So run on the 2. It's actually more than 2. It's actually 2 only, and not that great to use in Altar Chaos for RPVE. In other instances, I think it will be used. There'll be a lot of macro managing, which players don't like to use that, but it will be used. Alright, so let's get into this point. This is where people actually talk about sometimes about the Lost Spirit. You have a couple of Lost Spirit, and if you're only using a couple of Lost Spirit, obviously, you'll see that they'll start moving very much together, right? However, if you actually go ahead and summon some of the put some warding in there as well. Alright, so this is going to be your little army for the RPVE. and then you start moving them around like you did before, you'll notice that the position that the Lost Spirit actually comes is depending on what is in front of him. So the Lost Spirit moves in this position. That also happens when you actually have a bunch of other people, like the other two group. Does not mean that these Lost Spirit shift will be actually huddled, and then you actually have to macro management in a way that you can put them together. Alright. Why I'm actually saying that is, many people actually play in the Lost Spirit ship as a splash mechanic. You'll see a video later on about it. When using the splash mechanic, they go ahead and use regrowth, equilibrium, revenge, and because they're using the green deck, and they don't hardly ever. Actually, I've never seen one of the guys who has a nature ever use the Lost Spirit mechanic ship, because they're not going to summon towers to actually recycle them. So instead, they actually go ahead and start using things like this, things like equilibrium and stuff like that, while the Lost Spirits go ahead and mindlessly start actually damaging. So then it gets to this point. The blood healing. So much of people are saying that the blood healing is actually enough. Actually, to be honest, only one person actually said that, which is a top rank. For some reason, thinks that his opinion equals fat, and for some reason, think is always right. So when actually using the blood healing, for example, you'll notice that the card itself says you're able to reduce, be reusable every 5 seconds, but the unit cannot actually heal. You have to look at the important parts on here. The target unit cannot be healed. So when you're actually using it on this Lost Spirit ship right up here, and you're 15 meter radius, everything is going to be able to be healed. However, if you actually have a bunch of these guys out there, you're gonna spend your time. By the way, you're going to spend your time, instead of actually fighting and throwing your last target to something like that, because sometimes you have to hit the Lost Dragon had to hit this guy had to hit this guy, and then somehow you have to use your spirit ship or someone else have to be huddled in together to be able to use the blood healing, because it's 15 meter radius. So you actually have to keep these guys in check all the time while the blood healing is going. So it's only 15 meter radius. You have to do it every 5 seconds. And what is the problem between the blood healing? When you're actually having something that is taking life, such as like this, and healing something else, that something right there, it cannot be healed. If anything huge, damage it bigly, I don't actually say that word, with big damage, then it dies, then where the blood healing goes? There you go, your monster died, now you have to summon another one. For the cost of, if you're doing the Lost Soul, for a cost of either 250, 250, 260, or another spirit ship 240. So in actual tense, someone said that the blood healing was actually enough, but then actually say later, which you'll see the discussion, they'll say later then they had a healer. So the blood healing, the person with the blood healing is healing probably one area, and then the other person is healing everything else beside the guy that can't be healed with the blood healing. Everything else is being healed with the regrowth. Listen, you don't even need fucking blood healing if you have someone with regrowth and equilibrium. It just means that the person can do it themselves. So at one point I told the person that showed me only you using blood healing. As someone actually already said, the blood healing is way too weak and it's not made for the Lost Soul. Why did the spirit ship was invented? What is Lost Soul? Lost Soul, to be honest with you, is not playing with Frost card and Shadow card alone. That's not a Lost Soul deck. If it was a Lost Soul deck, then the player already invented the fucking Lost Soul before Fnatic ever even thought about it. Because some players, they play the Shadow and played the Ice deck together, right? Church of the Negation, Engineer Cobalt, Lost Soul, right? No, it ain't like that. Lost Soul is actually these type of colors that you see right here, right now, on the bottom right side. You're playing the purple card and the Ice card, the blue card together. Right? So when you see that, then why these guys are invented in different ways? Each one has the Soul Remnant to actually revive themselves. He has a Soul Remnant and he hits harder with it. This guy actually reduces the damage, and then this guy actually makes the ability and range not being able to be procced, so they can't use their range. So together, they actually harmonize in each other. So what is the Lost Spirit ship? Why was it invented? The Lost Spirit ship is actually a better splash than these two. If you have a bunch of these guys, then the Lost Spirit wins. If you have 8 Lost Dragon versus 8 Lost Spirit, the Lost Spirit wins in splash damage. So that not only does the Lost Spirit support the class to have a little bit better of a splash damage together, but at the same time it has the mechanic healing that was given to them. So as you already know, beside blood healing, they don't have any heals. So at one point you'll start seeing some of the people who doesn't even have healing stand by for another person to actually join them in the RPVE, and this happens a lot when I'm joining. So basically what happens is that, let's say you're actually fighting some of these guys, as you see right now, the Lost Spirits can actually drop a heal. Hello? Didn't actually drop it for me. Again, it's a little bit hard, tougher because of the what is it called? It's a little bit tougher because there's no number here to control it. So the Lost Spirit you can actually move these guys a little bit closer so it can have healing. See? So the Lost Spirit, the blue and purple card together, the Lost Spirit ship was actually invented to be the support of the Lost Spirit deck, such as the Lost Dragon and the Lost deck, which is the Lost Dragon to the Lost Warden and all the Lost cards and stuff like that. So when you actually see it like this, the mechanic of this deck is to actually build it forward. But if you actually look at the beginning of the video, you look at after the video, I don't know where I put this so far, you saw people actually speaking about the Lost Spirit ship in either speedrun, it will affect speedrun, it will not affect speedrun, or you see them as being too strong for the splash. Which again, if you actually see it like this and you're actually fighting right here, I don't have the goddamn thing right now. But if I'm actually healing like this, wait for them to get a little bit lower. Equilibrium. It's going to be up here by 2 seconds. And I don't have here. They're actually dying in here, but I don't have the, what is it called? Actually get this thing back here. I don't know why I didn't put that there. Boom. Actually put a little bit more here. They have more than I do. Anyway, let's put a little regrowth here. I mean, revenge. So now they're damaging themselves because of the reflect. Wait for it to get a little bit lower. Hit them with that. Hit them with the equilibrium, and this should be up by now. So then why does it become very overpowered? Well, let me show you something. Let me actually put this down here. They don't use it. Obviously, they don't use it. They're not single very damage. I'm going to add some of these guys right here when fighting. They're actually movable, so you can actually kite these guys while they're actually shooting. But again, let's use Revenge. Equilibrium doesn't have too much health for that, so there it is. Nice equilibrium. It's about to get a little bit lower. Regrowth. Done. How much worse can this be? Let's add 4 of them. Some of the Lost Spirit mechanic. And let's use Revenge. And let's add a equilibrium just for loss. So you see, in a splash deck, it becomes very powerful because now you can actually use your Revenge. The Lost Spirit ship only costs like about 1 blue, 1 purple. So you can use Revenge, you can use Equilibrium, you can use Regrowth. You can go right ahead if you feel like there's a Wild Sniper around, and you have a bunch of Lost Spirit, but you have at least 1 ground unit in the floor. Earth Shaker, just to destroy that Wild Sniper, and then keep going with the Lost Spirit mechanics. Again, not many people actually use this, and if you look at my previous videos, I haven't seen one guy use the Recycle that has a splash damage. If they do it, it's going to be over fucking powered. But I haven't seen one actually do it. So then all they actually do is use the spells. Thunderstorm, Regrowth, Equilibrium, Revenge, Earthshaker, everything they can do with a splash damage, because you're only going to need to actually put 1 Frost and 1 Purple. That's it. 1 Frost and 1 Shadow. That's all you did. My suggestion was okay. If you guys are worried so much about the fucking splash damage that everyone is using it, because there's a lot of people using it, then just make it to shadow to shadow and to frost. That's it. The Lost Spirit ship belongs to the Lost family, and I actually said that many times in many of the PMs that I had with a representative, with many representatives, not just one, because I had to see each one of their opinion and their thinking, their thought process, to see what they actually say versus my suggestion. Some may not agreed, like you may have seen it probably in the beginning or at the end of the video. I don't know where I put this, but some of them you might say I'm not going to vote for this or anything like that, and I go ahead and what do you call that? I respect your opinion and your thoughts and stuff like that, but or your decision. But in my area, I'm actually going to say that this is the best decision for it. I think 4 representatives actually agreed with me that this is actually the best route, but they don't want to actually do this type of route completely, because again, you actually take the Lost Spirit from the splash deck, and you also can actually ruin some parts of the, what is it called, the speed runs and such. I know. Let me actually end it right there, because I don't need to actually go any more over the Lost Spirit mechanic. This part of the video is Lost Spirit mechanic only, so I'm just gonna stop it right here and then enter to the next area where we keep speaking. This part I actually want to talk, because this happened just a couple of minutes ago. The guy went with one of those big creatures, I forgot what his name, ground creature, and he got annihilated in here. He just got destroyed. So when I went to the bottom right side, if you see the bottom right side, I had to do that alone. And the reason I had to do that alone is because first of all, I clear pretty much everything with the phoenixes again, and then I summon a bunch of Cold Master to kill a construct in the middle of like where you see my last 4th monument a little bit upper, and I did it by having a bunch of Cold Masters, and then later on I swim into my ships with at least one of the recycle. So when playing with the player, he got annihilated and I had to go alone. See, I didn't actually have to be dependent on him because I had the Lost Spirit ship. That's the support of it, which is part of this video. So then, as you see right here, whether it heals me, he heals me or not, which you can actually tell when he does it or not. That is where I start. What's it called? Still using the lost mechanic, because I can't. He's not speaking when I'm talking to him. He's not responding, and at the same time, I have to always keep in mind that he did not go with me to the left side. So I always have to feel like I'm always alone when I'm actually running the thing. So I actually send one of my guys in here, one of the what's it called, I could have used the Architect, obviously, but since the guys are handling on the right side, I wanted to keep him in forward and then move ahead of time. See, he's healing himself. He's taking a lot of damage, but I pushed him inside where everyone's supposed to get their heal. So I'm hoping that he actually moves a little bit more closer, because he actually technically didn't want to move it all the way in. But as soon as you see the heal on the left side, I don't have to worry while he's healing on the right side. So I try to put him, huddle them all up and try to focus like the construct and stuff like that by using the Lost Dragon, and then we focus on the last one, which is the Commander Walker, which if he uses spells and such, we get damage. So I think my ability is the best for this choice, because if you try to use regrowth while there are corruptionists out there, we're gonna get damage. So at one point, I actually returned back once we finished them. As you see over here, I return back slowly and I go into the armor tower, not the one behind, because I need things on the go, you know, just in case if the guys on the top right side did not make it or something bad happened. And this basically does happen majority of the time in a Lost Soul or Twilight Zone of the map. Not usually this map. This map is actually easy, but in those type of situation, the Lost Soul or the Twilight with the Wild Sniper and all that stuff, and the Lost Dragon on the Lost Soul does a lot of damage. So I came, again, I'm not stopping too long, I'm always proceeding, and that's the reason why Lost Spirit Ship is a great support for the Lost Soul decks, instead of being used as splash damage. As you see right here, I see someone use it a little bit different, so I just go right ahead and summon the Lost Evocation, which actually works for their Lost Soul as well. So that's something I just really wanted to put into it like that. If I see this proposal that it feels like it's going to destroy the Lost Soul deck, I am going to fight back, but I'm going to fight in the forum. I'm not going to fight here. Enjoy the video, guys. Have a wonderful day.